In this video, I'm going to show how to convert an old style ridge runner or any bridge hammock that has a metal hardware connection here into a hammock with a soft connection between the Amsteel dog bone and hammock body so that a bridge button can be used to cover this pointy end and protect your tarp. There are several steps that will have to happen here. First, we need to remove the metal hardware and we're going to cut this off. Second, this purple pad that's in here to protect the strap from the edges of the metal, that is going to have to be removed. We'll remove the Amsteel dog bone from the metal and then we'll reattach the Amsteel to the hammock. But before we do that, we'll need to check the size of the eye to make sure there is room enough for a bridge button. Most likely there won't be enough room for a bridge button, so we're going to either re-splice the eye to be slightly larger or just replace the dog bones altogether. Let's get started. Now, by far the easiest way to cut off this metal hardware is to go and get yourself a set of bolt cutters. I got these from Harbor Freight for less than $10. I think $8.99 was the retail price. They're small, the smallest ones they had, 12-inch handle. You don't need a lot of leverage to do this. So all you do is you open up the jaws of your bolt cutters and get them around the metal coming in from the side here. You can also come in from the end. I find the side to be a little easier. But just situate your jaws onto the metal, taking care that you're not pinching the strap, and just like that, we've cut through that side of the metal. Do it again on this side, making sure we're not pinching the strap, and there we go. We've removed one of the 4 metal chunks. So after cutting off the metal, you're left with this little piece left inside the hammock, but that'll come right out. Now, if you want to use a hacksaw, you can, but it is a more difficult process. I would suggest to set this up in a vise, or at least clamp it with some pliers and clamp that to a bench. You'll have a lot easier time than trying to do it freehand. But just to show the process, here we've already made a pretty good gouge in it. There we go. I've made it all the way through there. Once you've gotten through the first side, it's much easier just to break off the second side. So get yourself some pliers. Just get a hold of either end, and doesn't take much bending to break that right off. Now, if you don't have bolt cutters or a hacksaw, you can try just going all He-Man on this. Get a better grip here. And grab below kind of that narrow point in the bridge there. Get a good grip on the pliers. And just start bending it. Now I'm gonna flip it over and do the same the opposite direction. Do it again on the other side, and there we go. So here we are inside now, and our objective is to remove these purple pads on all 4 corners of the hammock. Pretty simple way of doing this is to get yourself some pliers and bite onto the loop and just turn it inside out. And just keep working it. We want to, here we go, get it so that we have easy access to that purple pad there. Now there's just a single stitch of thread going down the center of this, holding the black and the purple together. Now to remove that, don't bother with the seam ripper, because this webbing is going to snag in the seam ripper and make it quite difficult. Instead, get yourself a knife and pull this purple back to where you can see the thread, and then just cut the thread with the knife. And then do that over and over again, pulling back and cutting thread. And it doesn't take very long at all to get through it all. And there we go. Now there's a whole bunch of threads left over here. You can pick those out if you want, but honestly, it doesn't matter at all. We're going to lark's head that dog bone back onto here, and it's going to cover up those threads. You'll barely even know they're there. So here's what's left of that metal hardware. We're just going to undo this lark's head that was holding the dog bone and the metal together. Now if you're a pack rat, go ahead and keep the metal, otherwise throw it in the trash. The dog bones that come off the first generation Ridge Runner had fairly small eyes because all they had to do was connect to that metal hardware. To work with the bridge button, they're going to need to be a little bit bigger. If you know how to splice, you can remake these yourself. Measuring the inside of the eye, you want to be no less than 1 5/8 of an inch. 1 3/4 is going to make a little bit of an easier install with the bridge buttons. If you don't want to splice, I do sell pre-made dog bones on my website, where the eyes have been made to the proper size to be able to fit the bridge buttons. You will buy them as a matched pair, meaning that the two dog bones have been made to exactly the same length so that the bridge hammock lays flat. You'll need one matched pair for your head end and a second matched pair for your foot end. This also lets you buy different colors. Maybe you want red on the head and blue on the feet, so that you can differentiate which side of the hammock you're working with. So I've taken the hammock and I found 2 loops corresponding to one end of the hammock. I'm going to take one of my pairs of dog bones that I've matched the length on, and I'm going to install them both onto the same end of the hammock. And these are just a very simple lark's head onto the hammock body. Push the dog bone through, find the other end of the dog bone, go through the first end, and tighten this down. So right now, that opening doesn't look like it's big enough for a bridge button. But when we set this up and when we lay in the hammock, this knot is going to cinch down tight on itself and expose more of that opening for the bridge button to go through. Get that on there. And then last one. That on there. Now I'm going to take this back outside, hang it up so I can put some weight in here, and then install the bridge buttons. I brought this outside. I sat on the hammock to get these lark's heads to really cinch up tight around it, and I got the bridge buttons installed on all 4 corners. Now the spreader pole can go directly into the bridge button, both sides, and there we go. So this is the final product here. What once was an old style ridge runner with metal hardware has been converted to accept bridge buttons. This process will work exactly the same for any brand of hammock. For example, the Banyan from Dutchware. You just have to have the time and determination to sit down and see it through. There are several steps, as you saw, but each of those steps is doable. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you learned something about how these hammocks are constructed, how everything operates, and I hope to see you again next time.